Summer is generally considered the off-season for landscape photographers. The sunrise is too early, the sunset is too late, blue skies come with harsh midday light and potential haze, vegetation can feel overwhelmingly green, insects such as mosquitoes, ticks and midges are a pest, not to mention that popular landscape locations are usually much more crowded. However, there is of course a solution to those challenges. Go out on days with extreme, moody or windy weather and shoot locally. By doing so you avoid crowds, most insects, you get interesting skies and potentially dappled light, and shoot in somewhat open landscapes to avoid everything being totally green. Generally aim for some moody or dramatic minimalism. And a bonus during summer is that the rural landscapes actually look great. Today we have the most epic clouds just forming, coming in over the landscapes and just interacting with light, dappled light, big stormy clouds with loads of texture. I brought out the 28 to 200 millimeter. It seems when I'm driving around in these fields, this rural landscape, I generally tend to shoot above 35 millimeter, above 50 millimeter even. And the same is the thing for this scene right here. So I'm shooting at around 100, 150-ish. And as you can see right here, I have this beautiful hilltop. And then I have some tractor tracks through this field of rye. Because the scene is as minimal as it is, where I'm basically just using the tractor track here in the background to lead up into the sky, I'm putting a lot of emphasis on the sky, which means that whatever I have in the sky must be interesting. And obviously it is with these super dramatic clouds right here. Super simple and very minimal scene, but still works really, really great. And don't get hit by a car. There's not a lot of cars out today. So something like this right there. Zoom out a bit. Awesome. The editing of this photo was super simple. I basically just added some local and global contrast to balance the luminosity and colors of the photo to my liking. If you have followed my channel for a while, you may have noticed that the Netherlands is not the only country where you can find old windmills. Denmark actually has a decent amount of these standing around in the countryside, and for obvious reasons they are often placed on hills and hilltops, making them stand out in the landscape and making them great subjects. This particular windmill is one I haven't visited or photographed before, but I think it has a lot of potential. So I brought out the tripod so that I can do a time blend in case I get like good light on the foreground but the clouds are not in the right position, or if the clouds move into a cool position and I don't have light on the foreground, then I can always mix it together in a way that I like in the end. I'm also trying to focus stack, or at least focus bracket, this photo right here. So I'm simply just focusing on the foreground grass here, and then I'm letting the camera focus bracket the photo, and then I can optionally put it together in post-processing. There's so much grass that overlaps that it may end up just being a complete headache trying to put it together, but at the very least I make sure that I have the option to do so. Compositionally, I try to avoid the tree over here, or at the very least I just have a little bit of the tree, and then I can always clone that out in post-processing. I can't do much about the tree right here, although I am going a little bit lower so it doesn't take up too much of the composition right here, so I just have the grass at the horizon level. If I go too low, the grass takes up too much of the mill, and I don't want that either. So it's all about like finding that proper mid-ground between having the bottom of the mill visible but not having too much of this vegetation here also visible. The clouds around me right now are just so epic. I love when you can see something like that there. Sadly, I can't really use it in my scene right here unless I composite it. But also here behind me, like out here, dark and moody. Right now I'm just waiting for these clouds here to just move over behind the mill. For this photo I blended in a foreground with a bit more light on it and cloned away the bush just next to the mill to isolate the mill a bit more. Sadly I didn't get any of those super moody clouds lining up with the mill, but this cumulus nimbus is also great. So I'm currently driving on a road that I've never been on before, and I just passed by this really gorgeous field. So right now it's actually in shadow, this hill right here, but as you can see the light is moving into the scene and it's going to light up the hill right there, as you can see. So I'm simply just using the long lens, zooming in and getting a composition that looks more or less something like this right here. That looks sick. I absolutely love those abstract lines that you can get in fields like this. And then with a dark, moody background as I have today, it just works out so well. Hopefully a little bit more of dappled light throughout the scene just to make the contours of the landscape stand out a bit more. Like this right here, and then boom, works. It's just, I love driving around and finding scenes like this. It looks amazing. I drove a bit further up the hill and found another amazing perspective towards the field and just waited for the light to pop out. I love that dappled light you can get on moody days like these. It literally paints the landscapes with light and adds so much depth and dynamics to what some people would otherwise consider a boring scene. Dappled light is my favorite type of light and is something I have an entire subchapter about in my ebook about light in landscape photography. Regarding editing, I mainly added a bunch of contrast to the landscape section of the photos and made sure that the sky didn't overpower or draw too much attention away from the fields. I did this by controlling contrast and desaturating the clouds. So when I'm out photographing, I'm often constantly just debating with myself, should I go north, should I go south, should I go to this location, should I go to that location, and so on and so forth. Based on the clouds, it seems that it makes sense for me to go to a location that provided one of my absolute favorite photos from last year. So redoing it is a little bit I'm not entirely sure, but there is something about that photo I just want it to be a little bit better, and there may be a chance that I can get that tonight. Well, it doesn't look like night, I know, but it's 6 in the evening and it's basically midsummer right now. So the sun is still quite far up in the sky, but let's see if I can get what I want. Over the years, I've built up quite a good list of locations I can visit in all sorts of weather. This is one of, if not the best part of local landscape photography, being able to easily react to whatever the weather is doing. My good friend and colleague Nigel Danson and myself actually have an entire course on local landscape photography. We know it's something that people just struggle so much with. So it was only obvious that we made a course where we share all the different techniques for our success with local landscape photography. It's 4 hours of learning divided between 13 videos with all our knowledge about photographing locally and how to edit the different photos. We cover all the different options you have for photographing throughout the year in the different seasons, what kind of landscapes to look for, and how to find new and great places to photograph. We of course also cover how to edit your photos, both advanced editing like blending exposures, focus stacking and working with luminosity masks, and also basic editing in Lightroom. You can get the course via the link down in the description of the video. Alright, so You see the clouds out here are coming this way, and the sun is up here. So what I'm hoping for is that these clouds here will pass the sun will come out on the other side, and then these clouds here will be more like local to me here. So I'm heading out into a field where there's a little lone tree that I can photograph. So this can be super epic. I just need to change the lens into something wider, so it's going to be my 16 to 35 here. And yeah, once these big dark clouds are coming in here and the sun hopefully comes out, the sun will light up the scene of the grass, the tree, and I should have these dark clouds behind the tree. And then I can shoot a little bit wider than I did last year, because last year I captured it a bit too close to the tree at 28mm, and I just felt that it's a little bit too crammed in there. I want it to be a little bit more minimal than what I captured, also so I can maybe go vertical and also in the same time go horizontal. Yeah, so just get a lot of good stuff. But these clouds look amazing. So the reason why, and one of the big reasons to go handheld in a situation like this, is that you can very, very fast change your position. Shutter speed wise, it's not really an issue. There's so much light here anyway. So I can always run back and forward, closer to the tree, away from the tree, get a low perspective, low angle and so forth. I just know that I'm going to have to be very fast and work really fast, because the clouds are moving almost too fast. So it really is a question about just being prepared and work fast. I should almost have put the wide angle lens on my Osmo, but yeah, let's see how this goes. Already now, even without the light, these clouds are just so good. The irony is right now I'm actually shooting at 35mm, so I could have just stuck with the other lens. Right now, so yeah, I'm already outside here, but let me just take you with me so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm actually moving a little bit back, as you can see here, and zooming all the way in. Of course I'm zooming all the way in now that I've decided to go wide angle, but as you can see, it actually looks really nice right here. So I have the clouds up there, and then I have the little tree right there in the center. Well, not necessarily entirely in the center, but at the very least so that the clouds are above the tree. Looks really nice. And you see up here, the sun is coming out in just a moment and should light up this scene. So I will start here. Actually, I'll just get the tripod out of the way. And I am back in position. As you can see, make sure that the tree just stands out and having those clouds there on top. Uh-oh, there's a bush in the way. And you see here, here's the composition-ish. Come on, light. Come on, light. And slowly here comes the light. Oh, the irony. Deep, deep irony. That I'm shooting with... Okay, here we go. Move, 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 move. And then we go vertical. And go horizontal again. All right, let's move over. And okay, need to get closer to the tree. Closer to the tree, closer to the tree. Now, while I'm running around here, I just need to remind you that if you want to learn about composition, how I think light, which is so important on a day like this where the light just changes all the time, so you need to recompose your photo all the time, be sure to get my ebooks on exactly those topics. They're super easy to read with minimal text and tons of examples. I make sure to get to the point fast. In my light ebook, my newest ebook, I've even added EXIF data, extended EXIF data to all the photos in the ebook. There are links to both the composition ebooks and the light ebook down in the description of the video. And of course, if you want them all, you can just get the bundle with all three. And there we go. This is why I wanted the wide angle right here. That said, I still do think I have too much blue sky behind it. It's a bit of a bummer. Actually, it seems like I'm going to get another chance out here. So let's hope for that. But I do like the light on that tree. Beautiful, absolutely stunning. So I've moved a tiny bit back and I'm actually zoomed in quite a lot, but the composition is really nice. As you can see right there, have those dark clouds behind the tree, but I do have light on the foreground, which looks beautiful. Super beautiful. Very nice. Oh yeah, mood, drama, a minimalist scene, local photography, what's not to like? These photos underwent a lot of editing, cleaning, adding contrast, controlling light, adding gradient filters, and all this by working both locally and globally on the photos. Let me know which of these dramatic minimalist photos you like the best. Check out the description of the video for my ebooks on composition and light and in-depth landscape photography courses. If you struggle with photographing in moody conditions or rain, check out either of the videos on the screen right now.